result of settling these these three cases. $4 million of the fund is going to the New York AG to settle some class members' claims that are outside of our class. We have the majority of the students, 7,000 some plus students, that will receive at least 50% or maybe up to 100% of a return. We've waived our attorney's fees, for the 6.5 years of litigation, so they could get a significant recovery in this matter. And the New York AG is going to use some of those funds to administer this fund to these thousands of people throughout the United States because it is a nationwide class. If you might remember, our class was decertified on damages, so the class members may have waited years and years before they were actually going to recover damages. Now they get something right away, and it's at least 20-something million dollars going to our class members without us taking any fees. Many of our class members, for example, Sonny Lowe, still has $9,000 of credit card debt that he's been paying off for years and years, paying half his paycheck from Home Depot to satisfy that credit card debt, and now he'll be able to get the monies from this settlement and finally become debt-free, as many of our class members remain in some type of debt because of what happened here. Well, we tell them that you can't do better than when somebody puts up the money and you get your money back. And that was really what our concern was. To get some admission, which you rarely get in civil cases, to get some admission like that, you would have sacrificed literally probably millions of dollars. And we thought it more important to get the money back for our class members than for some whatever admission it was going to be. I think that an admission, the fact that there's $21 million being paid out to this class is a pretty good sign that they've done a pretty good job and accomplished a lot in their litigation.
People have to understand, Patrick mentioned it sounds technical that the damages class was decertified. What that really means technically is even if we had gone to trial and even if we had prevailed, we were only going to be able to recover money for 3 people this year. That's it. And then there would be proceedings, individual proceedings for 6,000 other people over however many years that would take. And so that was really the driving force. As you all know, Mr. Trump sat for depositions on 3 different occasions. His statements are part of the record, and I think that the class members are satisfied by what is already part of the record, and we're very hopeful that they'll be pleased with what will be, for many of them, thousands and thousands of dollars that they'll be receiving.
And if I could, what is so extraordinary, what is so extraordinary about this recovery is that oftentimes in class actions you just get pennies on the dollar. Here we are providing over 50% up to a full recovery for each of the class members, which was really enabled by the fact that the Plaintiffs' Council here have decided to do this all pro bono, so for the public good.
Could you identify yourself, please, and also could you characterize
My name is Rachel Jensen, and how do we feel going up against the president-elect? We're very happy to resolve this case in a way that's favorable to our clients and to allow our clients to move forward with their lives.
Do you think this result would have happened if Trump lost the election?
It's hard to say, but I will say this, that we have definitely detected a change of tone and a change of approach. And I do believe, some of you were not in court, but I do believe that Mr. Petrocelli spoke sincerely about the fact that this is part of the process of turning the page and looking forward. This is not, look, both sides fought very hard, and we fought for what we believed in. And at the end of this, you have to respect the other side for the fight and respect the fact that in the end, he did do the right thing, and we do appreciate that.
How has all the publicity over the last year changed the direction? How's it impact?
I don't think it's changed the direction of the case. It has certainly tested and strengthened our resolve at times, but as a credit to Judge Curiel, it didn't change the direction of the case because he kept calling balls and strikes.
Do you think that Donald Trump was more willing to settle because he just wanted to get this out of the way because he's now
Dan would know better than I would. I know that this is not the first or the only sign of a healing process beginning. This is, I think we've all seen a lot more of the political process this time around than we typically do in an election, and it's shocking to me that people who are at each other's throat on November 7th are friends on November 9th, and this is somewhat consistent with that. We were at each other's throat for 6.5 years, and we were able to find a common ground with them and do something good here. No, there are not.
Are you confident that they'll be satisfied?
Well, I think once the word gets out and people start analyzing it and comparing it to other cases, it's going to be if not unprecedented, close to unprecedented in terms of the significance of the money people are going to be receiving. So, put in context, like I said, it's pretty close to an unprecedented result for them. He was very critical. Judge Miller is one of our most respected judges here, and one of the more respected judges in the country, and he showed a very steady hand and did a great job bringing us together.
How long after last week's hearing did it take to reach this agreement?
It took until, I don't know, about an hour before today's hearing, so it took a lot of work. Well, it actually didn't work out that way. You just trust me when I say there were a lot of ups and downs and a lot of unexpected twists and turns. But it was actually surprisingly cordial throughout the entire process. So there wasn't a lot of table pounding, and I think we did all have the same goal in mind. Obviously, we wanted different numbers at different times, but it really was a common goal.
What are the next steps and timelines? Obviously, people hearing that they're going to be getting their money back, they're going to be asking how soon can they expect it?
Right, that's a great question. What happens in the process is in 30 days, the judge will hopefully issue what's called preliminary approval we'll file a motion to ask for that. And then there will be a notice period of probably 30 to 60 days. And once that passes, the judge will hopefully approve the settlement. And so we could have people with their money back within 3 to 4 months.
What's the most someone could get back?
It could be upwards of $35,000 on an individual basis. Okay. We'll cede the mic to Mr. Petrocelli unless there are any other questions.
No. This case started it. These cases started it. They followed on some 3 years later. And I know that he was quick to get a press release out about claiming credit for this settlement, but really these cases drove the litigation and drove the settlement in this matter. And all you have to do is look at some of the term sheets and see where the money's going to see how that happened.
I'm Jason Forge. This is Rachel Jensen again.
And I'm Patrick Coughlin, Coughlin.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
We're through, Trump you!
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 Come on in, guys.
We're
Come
through,
on
Trump you!
We're through, Trump you!
We're through, Trump you! We're through, Trump you!
Come on in.
We're through, Trump you!
You have any questions?
We're through, Trump you! We're through, Trump you!
Yes. As I said in court, usually settlements are unhappy all around, but this is actually a good one all around. Mr. Trump, President-elect Trump, he's a fighter, as we all know, and that's why so many people have been drawn to him, and so many people voted him and voted him into office. And he had very strong feelings about this case, but he was willing to put his personal interests and his personal beliefs aside and focus on the issues that are facing the country and devote his talent, his energy, his enthusiasm, and his willingness to fight for all Americans and fight for the country. And no small part of that was to put aside this issue, get it behind him, and move forward. And that's what he has done, and he's pleased to be able to do it. And we were happy to be able to avoid this unnecessary trial.
During the campaign, the president-elect questioned whether or not the legislative might somehow bias the
Well, you know, we lawyers and clients alike can be pleased, not pleased with what happens in the course of litigation. It's very unpredictable. It's very uncertain. But that's behind us now, and we're looking forward. I know President Trump is pleased to have this case behind him so that he can focus on the important priorities that are facing the country. He has unbridled energy and enthusiasm, and he is tackling the issues that are facing all of us with great interest, with great enthusiasm, and he was willing to sacrifice his personal interest, put this behind him, and move forward.
Does Mr. Trump's schedule, now that he's been elected president, play any impact in this and just getting it done so he can move forward and start focusing on those things?
Well, to be sure, if you're facing trial, it's an extreme hardship and burden on your time and attention and focus for anybody. And so, yes, having this behind him enables President Trump to focus on his transition process, taking office, and healing the country.
What did he say to you about this settlement? Characterize his mood in his talks with you, what you told him he had to deal with today.
Well, he was very pleased that we were able to move forward. He, you know, it takes two to have a settlement. So if we had to fight this case out at trial, we were going to fight it out, and we felt very strong and confident about our position. I know President-elect Trump felt that way, but if we had a reasonable compromise where we could satisfy some of the students and give them some redress, he was pleased to be able to do so, and that's what we have done.
How involved was he? To note that there was no admission of wrongdoing by Mr. Trump. Why was that important to your client as far as the settlement?
A very important part of our willingness to compromise this case was the acknowledgement that there was no fault or liability on the part of President-elect Trump or Trump University. There had been no determination of the merits of this case, and like in any settlement, there are risks that parties take if they want to go forward and proceed all the way to the end. And in this case, there were risks on both sides, but as I said, we felt very confident in our position. But at the end, President-elect Trump was prepared to set aside his personal interests and focus on the monumental task that he faces in bringing this country together and fighting for the important issues and all the people that he represents. He wants to spend his time and his energy, his focus, his talent, his ability on fighting for Americans as opposed to having to fight for himself in this trial.
Did you vote for him?
I don't think we want to talk about voting here.
But it is true that you contributed to the Clinton campaign after you came on board, correct?
I had contributed in the past, but I was very, very pleased that our client prevailed in this election.
Well, part of several lawsuits, civil lawsuits. Does this set any sort of precedent?
Well, I'm not aware of other cases in which he's involved. I think this was the one that was, the most immediate in terms of imposing on his time and his attention and distracting him. And so this is the one that's now out of the way. And I can't really speak to any others. And my general understanding is that there are not too many other issues that he has to be concerned about.
What was the level of his involvement?
Well, I would not want to violate my attorney-client confidences with my client, but yes, we've been in constant contact. We spoke today, in fact, and all I can tell you is that President-elect Trump has got laser focus on moving forward. It's time to move on. It's time to move on, and he just wants to put all of his time, energy, and talent into solving the problems for this country, and he was willing to sacrifice his personal interests in not fighting this through. And that's the way he feels, and that's the reason why we entered into this agreement.
Did the fact that the attorneys for the
Well, it certainly made it easier because, there are limits to our ability to get a settlement done. And like I said, it takes two to tango. And so the Plaintiffs' Counsel willingness to work with us on that basis made it possible to provide some redress to some of the students who had not asked for refunds, and now they're able to get some additional refunds.
Mr. Trump is known to be a winner. Does he consider this a victory?
We certainly do. We think it's a victory for everybody, and a victory for for President-elect Trump that he's able to put this in the rearview mirror and move forward.
And did you handle this on a pro bono basis yourself?
No, I don't work on a pro bono basis.
You made a point of praising the judge, and I'm just wondering what your client thinks.
Well, look, we didn't always agree with the court's rulings, and I'm sure the other side would say the same thing. The judge put in a lot of hard work on a difficult case that was the subject of a lot of public attention, and I've been involved in a number of these cases, and I know they're very difficult on judges. And he put in he did the best that he could on this case. We didn't always agree. But you have to live by the decisions and move on. I must say, I've had the pleasure throughout my career to represent some very wonderful clients. This is a first for me, obviously, and to have the privilege to represent the President of the United States is an extraordinary feeling. I cannot tell you how proud and privileged we all are as his lawyers to be standing here right now, and it's quite an honor. Just his fervent desire to fight for and protect the interests of all Americans.
Would he have settled if he wasn't elected?
I don't know. If he had not been elected, I'm not sure what path we would have taken. Most cases do end in settlement. It wouldn't have surprised me if this one would have gotten resolved. You have to understand that this was just phase one of a trial proceeding that would have lasted quite a while. There were other proceedings, there were appellate proceedings. This would have gone on for a long, long time and would have been a very significant distraction. And so I'm very proud that he put aside his personal interest and stepped up and agreed to resolve this. And as I said, he's a fighter, and he likes to fight when he thinks he's right. But he's now going to fight because he thinks he's right about things that are affecting our country and our nation. Absolutely not, and that was quite clear. And I think the plaintiffs' lawyers themselves would tell you that this settlement was entered into from day one as a precondition that there was no acknowledgement of any fault or liability at all. Well, that's entirely inaccurate. I don't know where you got that information. I was remiss in not pointing out that Judge Jeffrey Miller, United States District Judge Jeffrey Miller, was asked by Judge Curiel to assist the parties in resolving this case, and he did a wonderful job. We met all day with him on Wednesday, the lawyers from both sides, and he was able to, by the end of the day, bring both sides together. So we had a fairly rapid agreement. Pretty much one day, and then we had to deal with the Attorney General's office in New York, and that took another day. And so here we are today, glad to have this all behind us.
On the campaign trail, he said he wanted to reopen Trump University. Do you know if that's still the case, especially with today's
I think, given his ascendancy to the presidency, he's probably got other things that he needs to address than reopening Trump University right now. So,
is there anything in this agreement that would stop him or his children from reopening Trump University?
No, No, I mean, you guys have copies of the agreement. You can read it yourself. No, not at all. Anyway, thank you all very much. Appreciate it.